Darwin's game begins by showing a young man named Hamada, who is running away from his opponent, Banda-kun, in a deadly game called Darwin's Game. Those who play the game have a sigil, an ability that varies from player to player. Hamada immediately became desperate because Banda-kun had a sigil that could make him transparent, so people would have a hard time knowing his whereabouts. Hamada seeks help from one of his good friends, a young man named Kaname Sudo, who is not a player and knows nothing about Darwin's Game. Hamada, who was running away, was cornered when he found a dead end and was finally killed by Banda-kun, who managed to find out his whereabouts. The next day, Kaname was in his class with Shinozuka, talking about a strange find in the city of Shibuya. They were surprised by the appearance of Kyoda, who asked about Hamada. Kaname told him Hamada didn't go to school, and no one knew why. Suddenly, he remembered that Hamada had sent him a message last night. Turned out that the message contained an invitation link to join as a player in Darwin's Game. Kyoda, who knew about this, rushed to prevent Kaname from clicking the link. However, he had already clicked on the link, and suddenly, a snake appeared inside his cell phone, which bit his neck until he collapsed unconscious. Afterward, he was rushed to the school's health room for treatment. The next day, Kaname, who had recovered, was asked to fill out a form before leaving the school health room. However, while writing, the pen fell, and without him noticing, he could recreate the pen that he had touched before, which turned out to be his sigil. When he was about to go home by train, Kaname received a notification from Darwin's Game on his phone. It says that he would have a match against Banda-kun. Not long after, Banda-kun finally appeared and attacked him with a knife. Because of that, he tried to run away. Unfortunately, he was cornered and thought that he would die. But then, Kyoda arrived there and immediately attacked Banda-kun to save Kaname. He told Kaname to run away while he fought against Banda-kun using his sigil, which allows him to see the aura of living things, so he can know where the transparent Banda-kun was. Kaname, who didn't fully understand the situation yet, refused to leave Kyoda alone. Shortly afterward, he rushed to take Kyoda away from there and hid in a safe place to avoid Banda-kun. Because Kyoda was badly injured, he tried to call an ambulance to save Kyoda. However, Kyoda informs that people can't communicate with anyone outside Darwin's Game app, making it impossible for Kaname to call an ambulance. Hearing that, he was still confused. Suddenly, he received a message from a female player named Shuka Karino, who offered to help him. At the same time, Kaname then realized that Banda-kun had found their hiding place through the search feature in the game app. Knowing that their location had been discovered, Kyoda told Kaname to run away, while he would hide there until the game was over. Kaname decided to distract Banda-kun and lure his opponent into staying as far away from Kyoda as possible. He ventured to fight against Banda-kun. However, when Banda-kun used his sigil, Kaname panicked because he couldn't find out where Banda-kun was. On the other hand, Banda-kun was careless and didn't notice a car speeding toward him. Because he was using his sigil, the car driver couldn't see him and hit him to death. Shortly afterward, Kaname got a notification from Darwin's Game that he had won the game. At the same time, Banda-kun's body is visible again. His body is then teleported, leaving only a pixelated body carving on the floor, as he had previously discussed with Shinozuka. Kaname then rushed back to meet Kyoda. He was shocked when he saw Kyoda had disappeared and only left a mark like what happened to Banda-kun. He sat down and only cried when he found out his best friend was gone. However, his sadness intensified when he got the last message from Kyoda asking him to survive no matter what. The next day, Kaname, still mourning Kyoda's departure, seemed frustrated with what he had to do. He received a notification from Darwin's Game again telling him that he was rewarded with a gun for winning his first fight. Not long after, he received a package which turned out to be a real gun and a box containing the bullets. Soon after that, Kaname decided to find out about Darwin's Game application by asking Shuka, the player who had contacted him when he was fighting against Banda-kun. He then sent a message to meet her. Shuka agreed to that and told him their meeting place. After that, Kaname and Shuka meet in an abandoned building. He asked her about how to quit the game. She tells him he cannot quit Darwin's Game unless he dies. Hearing this, Kaname asked how to prevent himself from being attacked by other players. But Shuka refuses to answer his question because she doesn't trust him yet. She then asked him to show his sigil first. Because Kaname did not know what sigil was, he asked Shuka about it while confirming that he did not want to fight against her. On the other hand, she even thought he was lying to her because every player must have known about sigil because they will get it after being bitten by a snake from Darwin's Game. Shuka said she would not fight against Kaname and let him go if he did not carry a weapon. Hearing this, he immediately panicked because he brought some self-defense tools he had bought by spending all his savings. Because he could not show his sigil and be caught carrying a weapon, even if it was only for self-defense, Shuka decided to fight against him. Shuka didn't hesitate to use her sigil, which allows her to control wire-like objects, which she uses to wield spike chains to attack Kaname in a row. Knowing that he couldn't beat a high-ranked player like her, he devised a plan to escape. However, Shuka doesn't just let Kaname run away and continues to attack him until finally, he becomes pressed and manages to unlock his sigil, which was the ability to recreate weapons he has touched before. After that, he sets a trap for Shuka and eventually defeats her. Realizing that Kaname knows nothing about the game and having seen his sigil, Shuka surrenders, forcefully terminating the match so both players stay alive. They then spend the night at her mansion. The next day, Shuka invites Kaname to join a clan consisting of a group of players in Darwin's game that battle to earn points together. She tells him that points from victories can be used as cash, and it can be redeemed for real-life cash. She then advises him to use some points to temporarily hide his name from the challenge list, especially after winning against two high-ranked players. Shuka also tells Kaname that it is forbidden to reveal the details about the game to any non-player. If they do that, they would be forcefully teleported. Not long after, he intended to go home. However, he suddenly realized he had run out of cash for the taxi ride, so he went to the nearest ATM to withdraw the cash from his account. To Kaname's surprise, he found out that his account balance had increased by 1 million yen after he had redeemed the 10 points he had earned in Darwin's game. Shortly afterward, Kaname received a notification from Darwin's game regarding the first major event, a treasure hunt event in Shibuya that had been sent only to selected players, including Kaname and Shuka. He then goes to her, asking about Darwin's game event. Instead of telling him about the game, she told him not to mention Darwin's game name carelessly because it could harm him. Shuka told Kaname that the players usually refer to Darwin's game as the D game to keep things a secret about the game from non-players. She asked him to accompany her shopping. But then, a young man named Inukai manages to steal his cell phone and asks Kaname to follow him out if he wants his cell phone back. Kaname had no choice but to follow Inukai into a narrow alley. Inukai then returned his cell phone while warning him not to lose his cell phone again because when participating in Darwin's game, cell phones were very important items. At the same time, Inukai challenges Kaname to fight in Darwin's game because he is curious about Kaname, who could defeat two high-ranked players in a row, even when he is just a rookie player. Knowing that Kaname is a beginner, Inukai chooses not to use his sigil and fights against Kaname with his physical strength. At first, Kaname became desperate because he had no physical fighting ability. However, in the end, he could push Inukai, and he decided to give up after Kaname threatened to destroy his cell phone. On the other hand, Shuka arrives there to help Kaname, but they suddenly got a notification from Darwin's game app that the treasure hunt event was about to start, and they would be teleported to different places. Kaname is teleported to a hotel room in Shibuya, where he gets a notification about the rules of the event. The event entails each of the 300 players collecting at least 3 rings before the time to survive is up. What makes it harder is that there are only 300 rings available. Each ring also has different values of points depending on the gemstone set into it. Kaname rushed to find a nearby ring through the search feature and finally got 1 ring. After that, he noticed that a player was heading toward him. Because of that, he rushed to escape by taking the elevator. However, before he got on the elevator, he suddenly met a male player named Ryuji Mai Saka, who then pointed a gun at him. Not wanting to fight with the player, Kaname threw his ring at Ryuji and asked him not to shoot. However, he would still kill Kaname, even though he had gotten the ring. But then, Ryuji gave up his intention to kill Kaname after seeing him shaking because he was too afraid, making him could not pull the trigger of his gun to shoot back. Ryuji then boarded the elevator that was already open and hurried away from there. After that, Kaname meets a female player named Rain Kashiwagi, who offers him to work with her because the entire hotel has been controlled by the florist, a player who has sigil, which gives him the ability to control plants. The florist could also control other people if they were incapacitated using plants with narcotic properties. Rain is 13 years old and a junior high school student. However, because of her great ability to be an informant, the players in Darwin's game rely on her. Many players respect her because of her great intellect, maturity, and ability to stay calm while in the game. She has a sigil who allows her to calculate physical vectors and knowledge to predict the future. Without thinking, Kaname decided to cooperate with Rain and found the location of the florist, which caused the entire hotel to be overgrown with vines that blocked all access to and from the hotel. Rain told him that the florist's identity was a man named Ichiro Hiragi. Ichiro can control other people with his narcotics plants. Because of that, Rain warns Kaname not to use the elevator and better choice to use the stairs. Not long after, they met Ryuji and several other players who had been controlled by Ichiro to attack them. They immediately rushed to escape from the other players who had been controlled, but in the end, the players still discovered their hiding place. Kaname realized that Ichiro was probably watching them through the CCTV cameras scattered throughout the hotel. Thus, he and Rain destroyed all the CCTV cameras, concluding that Ichiro might be hiding in the surveillance room and monitoring everyone's movements. Soon after, they devise a plan to defeat him, in which Kaname finally manages to break into his hideout and fight against him. However, in the middle of the fight, Kaname started to run out of energy because he had used his sigil for too long. He had wanted to give up because he thought that he would not be able to defeat Ichiro. But then, he sees a vision of a man resembling him using blacksmith tools to carve weapons, which prompts him to explore the limits of his ability. Kaname suddenly reawakens and creates a machine gun which is strong enough to penetrate Ichiro's armor by sacrificing the gun's durability to win the fight. Shortly afterward, Rain arrives, reuniting with Kaname and Ichiro, and informs them about a clan called the Eight. The Eight clan is a brutal clan that did whatever they wanted to achieve their goals, whether murder or theft. Members of their clan wore a uniform consisting of a white sleeveless shirt, a black vest with the number 8 on the back, and jeans. Their intention is to attack the hotel to steal all the rings. As everyone is utterly exhausted, Rain tells Kaname that they form a temporary clan to fight against the Eight and protect their rings. They then went to Ryuji and asked him to join their clan. However, Ryuji refused because he didn't want an alliance with the person who had controlled his body and mind. However, he suddenly changed his mind and decided to join them when he discovered that they would face the 8 clans. While preparing for the 8 clan arrival, Rain notices that the point values of the games do not align with the evaluation values, making her think there is much more to this event than what the rules state. The goal might also be something besides gathering 3 rings. In the middle of their conversation, Kaname gets a message from Shuka asking for help because she is trapped in a subway station and faces a formidable opponent. Kaname and Ryuji then decide to save Shuka first, while Rain and Ichiro stay at the hotel and guard their rings. Arriving at the location, Shuka told them Kaname and Ryuji met a little girl named Sui, who told them that Shuka was in a subway station that was flooded with water and almost drowned. Hearing this, Kaname then dived to save Shuka, while Ryuji remained above to keep an eye on Sui. Ryuji has a sigil that allows him to discern whether someone is lying. However, it doesn't work if the person believes what they are saying is really true or plain ignorant. He apparently realized that Sui had lied to them. But in fact, Sui has a dual personality due to the presence of her deceased older twin brother, Sota's soul, within her body. Sui is a quiet, shy, and soft-hearted person. Meanwhile, Sota is a violent, bloodthirsty, and outspoken person. Despite their differences, the twins get along very well, and their souls can frequently switch to utilize each of their own sigils. Sui's sigil allows her to control water, including those within living things. However, she is unable to move it quickly. Soon after, Ryuji discovered that she had lied because she used her sigil to trap Shuka in the water. Knowing that they had been caught, Sota then took over Sui's body and fled from there. Fortunately, Ryuji could chase them down to a convenience store, where Sota then used his sigil, which allows him to freeze things. After successfully freezing Ryuji's body, Sota prepared to kill him. However, Sui immediately took over her body, forbidding Sota to kill anyone else. In another place, Kaname rescues Shuka, and after administering CPR, she gives him her first kiss. She explains her reasons for participating in Darwin's game, to get revenge against a player who murdered her parents. In the end, Sui managed to stop Sota and apologize to Shuka and Ryuji for everything that happened. Afterward, Sui agreed to join their clan. On the other hand, Kaname gets a message from Rain telling him that each ring has a QR code that reveals a number when scanned. She uses the diversion to run towards Shibuya Station through the numbers. She figures out that the numbers refer to the latitude and longitude coordinates of the true treasure in this event. Elsewhere, the 8 clans try to attack the players hiding in the hotel and take all the rings they have. Seeing the arrival of the 8 clan, Ichiro then ordered Rain to leave while he would try his best to defeat them. He reveals that he plays the game because he needs money to support his daughter Suzune, who has heart disease. Before leaving the hotel, Rain tells Ichiro that his daughter might feel very sad and suffer if she loses her father and asks him to stay alive. With the 8 clan invading the hotel, Ichiro takes possession of the rings to use as bait and help the other clan members hide their location, and he sets a trap at the hotel, killing several 8 clan members. Afterward, Ichiro battles one 8 clan member who uses his sigil to trap Ichiro. Being trapped at the hotel, Ichiro tries to run away. However, he is ambushed by 2 8 clan members, and they mortally wound him. Finally, using his sigil, Ichiro could activate the trap to make the hotel collapse and crush them. Elsewhere, Rain arrives at Shibuya Station and learns that while the 8 clan also figured out that the true treasure is there, they could not find it despite searching the entire station as they have not seen the code from the diamond ring yet. However, Rain gets captured by a member who uses his sigil to allow him to sniff out her scent and find her presence. There's also another member named Wong, who uses his sigil to allow him to teleport right in front of her. Unfortunately, her sigil failed to predict it. Wong threatens Rain to reveal the code on the diamond ring. She then tells a long story to buy some time for the rest of her clan to arrive. Fortunately, Kaname manages to save her to a safe place so that she can figure out the meaning of the code on the diamond ring while Shuka, Sui, and Ryuji engage in battle against Wong and his clan. Ryuji tries to distance himself from Wong, who has incorrectly deduced that his attacks are only effective from close range. Wong uses his sigil to attack Ryuji from behind and amputate his left hand. Suddenly, Kaname arrives when Wong wants to kill Ryuji. He asks Wong to let Ryuji go, then he will show him the key to unlocking the door to the treasure. However, Ryuji is well aware that Kaname is bluffing. Turned out, his lies succeed as he distracts Wong by making him believe there is a chance for him to get the key to unlocking the hidden treasure in the coin locker. The treasure is a call from the game masters on a smartphone to grant Kaname one wish that is within their power. He wishes to quit the game, but the request is denied, and Kaname is told that he can only quit by finishing the game or killing the game masters. 2 months have passed since the event with the destruction in Shibuya was officially ruled a terrorist attack. Afterward, Kaname spends the past 2 months training at the Donjo Boxing Club. While a member of Donjo Boxing Club named Donjo reattaches Ryuji's hand with his sigil, Kaname asks him to let him join the Donjo Boxing Club. However, Donjo wants Kaname to prove his worth with a match against him that allow using their own sigil. The match then started. Donjo corners Kaname, but he responds using a flash grenade that makes Donjo use his sigil that hardens his body. Having seen that Kaname is a capable leader, Donjo's clan forms an alliance with his newly formed clan, Sunset Ravens. At the same time, Shinozuka, Kaname's classmate and best friend, pays a visit to Kaname's apartment while he is away. Suddenly, he is kidnapped by Keiichi, a member of the 8 clans who survived the hotel collapse. Back to the fight, Kaname and Donjo are interrupted by Liu Zuolan, the top female player in Darwin's game, who wants to kill Kaname with her secret technique, Killing Intent, to make Kaname freeze. During that battle, suddenly, Zuolan kidnaps Kaname. She takes him for a ride in a limo driven by her butler, an old man named Shiming. She asks Kaname to become the heir to her assassin clan, which he refuses. Knowing that Kaname was being kidnapped, the Sunset Ravens chase the limo and challenge Zuolan to do a clan battle. They manage to stop the limo by freezing the liquid from a bottle of booze with Soda's sigil to destroy the tire. Zuolan surrenders when Shiming points out that she would have likely been killed by Shuka because of her limited mobility without the limo and the ineffectiveness of her techniques against Shuka. With the Sunset Ravens victorious, Zuolan decides to join the clan on the condition that if she is allowed to kill anybody from the clan, she wants to kill Kaname. Meanwhile, the 8 clan sends Kaname a video of Shinozuka held hostage with his fingers cut off. Wong demands Kaname shows up to fight him. Rain finally could know the location of the 8 clan hideout in a warehouse with the help of Kotori from the Icy Crown clan. With the information, the Sunset Ravens and Inukai arrive at the warehouse. The police are also at the scene but were slaughtered due to their lack of sigils. Shuka delivers Shinozuka's smartphone with the installed app, then he joins Darwin's game as requested by Kaname, making him gain the power of telekinesis for his sigil. Shinozuka uses his sigil to fight back against the 8 clan, but he is helpless against Wong. As the Sunset Ravens begin their invasion, Inukai challenges Keiichi to a one-on-one match and reveals that Keiichi was a martial arts prodigy who quit the sport after accidentally killing an opponent and felt enlightenment when Wong convinced him to become a killer. At the same time, Kaname and Ryuji make their way into the warehouse, demanding Wong to release Shinozuka, but only to find him chopped up into pieces. When Kaname is about to be shot by Shinji from the 8 clan, Kaname manages to kill him. He did that because he thought killing his enemy was necessary for this situation. After killing the 8 clan member because of their murderous actions inside and outside the game, Kaname challenges them to do a clan battle against the Sunset Ravens. While Kaname and Ryuji dispatch the remaining 8 clan members, Shuka engages in a one-on-one duel with Wong. As Wong uses his sigil that manipulates space to attack, Shuka activates her wire trap using her sigil to attack his limbs. In a desperate attempt to escape, Wong teleports outside the warehouse but ends up in front of Kaname. He surrenders the battle, unaware that Kaname used his high roller privilege from the Game Master, which forces the 8 clan to wager the same amount as the Sunset Ravens. The 8 clan was out of points. Then, Wong and Keiichi disappear, saying to Kaname that he is a poisonous insect. Hearing that, Kaname furiously shoots Wong. The next day, the Sunset Ravens become one of the most powerful clans in Darwin's game and become the ruler of Shibuya territory. The clan was formed from the members that survived the Shibuya treasure hunting event to fight against the aggressive 8 clan. The clan's goal is to win Darwin's game without killing anyone. However, they will kill and use force when necessary. The clan also forbids combat within its territory and will punish those that disobey the rule. The anime ends with an angry Kaname who begins the next event, a hunting game inside a forest. The moral lesson from this story is, don't click on strange links sent to us, because it could be a trap to join the game of life and death that will endanger our lives.